Today I'm going to install the Treatlife three-way switch. I've already installed a single pole dimmer and it worked very well, so now I'm going to do a three-way switch. So, flat-headed screwdriver just to take off the old plate. I've already turned off the breaker for the power for this particular light switch. The current plate looks like it's been painted on a little bit. Just have to get behind it a little bit. I have a three-way switch that I thought I would bring just to show myself a little bit what to expect in here, because three-way switches are a little more complicated. You've got a ground, and then you'll notice that one of these is copper and then these are silver. So these should be the travelers that the instructions talk about. This should be the hot wire that the instructions talk about. So that's what I'll be looking for. I have a little tester to kind of make screw bit. Remember that if this is live, though I think it's dead, you can get zapped if you're not careful. I'm going to pull that out and we'll see what we have. So we have a little dust. So to compare to my other switch that I had brought, so this one looks a little different. So it's got a little bit different setup on it, though there's two on one side and one on the other. The screws are not necessarily nice and the same color as what I expected over here. These two look the same color and this one looks different. So that doesn't help me. I have another little dilemma, and that is this particular switch sitting right here does not have a neutral. And you'll notice that they say it has to have a neutral in order to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to check the other switch and see if it has a neutral line in it. And we'll go. Alright, we're now at the upstairs switch. And again, another just regular screwdriver. Again, painted. There we go. I didn't harm it. These have also been painted. That's my recommendation, is if you're going to paint, take things out first. Alright, so I have good news. This one has a neutral wire back in there. Now I'm going to take my tester and I'm going to see if I can make sure that there's no power to this. So as you can tell, there's nothing happening on there. But I'm just going to touch a power to a traveler, and because I'm still not exactly certain which one's the power and which one's the traveler, I'll try 2 different ones. So I should be good. The electrician, whoever wired this, put the red one here and then put 2 black ones here. That does not necessarily mean that those are the power. In fact, my theory is that this is the power switch here, and this one is actually labeled on the back, and maybe these are too. Let me take a look. If these are labeled on the back, I do not see any designations. Alright, really don't. The only one designated as anything is the brass one here, which is different than these silver ones. Boy, it doesn't line up with this one at all in terms of which one is which. So I get to experiment. So I'm going to reach in here, and we've got a ground here, and this is an older house, and this ground is not attached to anything, you might have noticed. And here's the neutral. So they sent us with some stickers that I can label the various wires before I loosen them from here. And again, I'm going to have to do a little experimenting, so we'll see how that goes. So the red one at the other switch goes to the bottom darker screw. So I was going to come and see if that's the same here, which would be this one, and that is not true. That is not how that works. So I'm going to theorize that these 2 are the travelers and that this is the power. Now I'm going to look at my other switch, and in this particular case this is the brass one. So this is the brass one, which I think is the same here, and these 2 are silver, which I think are the travelers. So I'm going to theorize, and I might have to do it 2 or 3 times, but this is the load wire. So I'm going to peel off the stickers and find the load, and we're just going to put that around here so that later I can find that one. So that means that I think this is a traveler, and I think that this is a traveler. And of course this one, the bare wire, is the ground, though it isn't connected to anything. The downstairs plug at the bottom of the stairs doesn't have it connected to anything either, which we'll have to figure that out as to what that scenario might mean. But here's the neutral one, which your switch must have in order to connect to anything. So here is the Treatlife switch. It comes all wrapped up and everything with some protective on it so it doesn't get scratched in transport. I'm just going to take this yellow packing tape off, and then I'm going to straighten these out. And if you look at the back here, they've got traveler, load, traveler, neutral, ground. So everything's nicely laid out here. It's just a matter of getting them wired correctly. And the kit comes with some wire nuts. And so I'm going to go and get those, and then we'll do the wiring. See how we do. So here's the wire nuts that come with it. And so I'm just going to pop that open using maybe my fingers. Yeah, that was easy enough. Sometimes I poke a hole in that plastic with a screwdriver just because it can be kind of tough sometimes. The next thing is I'm going to loosen the load wire. It's been on there for 35 years or something, and pop that off. Now you see it's curled right now, which worked out great for wrapping around that screw, but not so great for going into a wire nut. So I need to get some pliers to straighten that back out. If they're too long for the wire nut, I might trim a little bit off with some wire cutters. So we'll see how that goes. So now we've got them all out there, that's perfect. Next thing I'll mention while I'm here is the fact that I'm not certain. I got a 4-pack of these 3-way switches. So there's 4 of these that came in the box. And I don't know if I really have to have one of these at the bottom and the top, since it's Wi-Fi enabled. If I can just use one per light bulb, then of course I can have 4 different places where I can install these. If I have to have 2 per light bulb, then of course I can only have them in 2 different spots. So I don't really know yet. I haven't seen anything that describes that particular thing. But for right now, I'm only going to put this in 1 box per bulb and see if that's going to control it without having to use 2 of these. I'd rather use the $1.50 switch and the expensive switch to control one than 2 of the expensive ones. So let me go get some pliers to straighten out the wire. Alright, so I've got pliers. I've got a smaller pair somewhere, but of course I don't know exactly where. My wife will tell you that's a constant problem. I leave them wherever I used them last. So I'm going to say that that's going to be too long for the wire nut. We don't need that much bare wire. That just opens up possibility of creating a short or worse inside the box. So we'll just straighten these out. And then use the wire cutters to trim them about the right size. I kind of have in my own head how long I like them, but here's a little gauge on the back of this outlet switch here that kind of tells you typically how long you want them. So I just kind of have a sense of how I like them, about like so. And I'm just grabbing these because otherwise they'll fly. Alright, so there's that. So now we'll take the wire from here, and these are kind of nice. They've already been, looks like they've got some solder on them, so that sometimes they come all frayed. But these look in good shape. So we're going to do traveler number 1, which would be, we'll just use this red one here. That's the traveler. And interestingly enough, the length of their bare wire and mine is pretty similar. So that works well. And then you're twisting until it's nice and tight, and then you're kind of checking it to make sure it's not going to come loose out of there. So here's another traveler. So now this other red wire is a traveler. Kind of get it bent, and I kind of match the ends so that they're kind of facing each other on the very tip. There's a little spring inside that they go in together. That feels good. And make sure they're tight. You don't want any loose wires in there. That'll just add complication to your life. Here's the load switch. That feels good. Feels good, okay. So now the ground is the green one. And like I said, the other end isn't really tied to anything. So I'm interested to know how that's going to complicate our life, but we'll at least attempt to do it properly. Alright, and then here is the neutral. And so this, my theory, if I understand things properly, is that gives the switch, this electronic switch, power no matter what. So it has power to connect or not connect. Now my bare wires are longer than the one that came on here. So I'm going to use their wire nut since it's longer. And for 35 years it's done the job. So let's see if it will do the job with a third strand in there. I'm kind of twisting until I get some nice resistance. Alright. So what I've got here is I've got a whole bunch of stuff. I've got a big mess is what I have. But I'm going to leave it like that, turn on the power and see if it does what it's supposed to do. So there you go. So we've turned on the breaker down in the basement, and I checked the switch at the bottom of the stairs on my way up, and it was working. So I'm going to actually turn off my little extra light that I dragged with an extension cord so you can see. And now we're going to just switch this and see if it turns on the light. And I have good news and bad news. The good news is the bottom switch is working, but the top switch does not control the light, which means I have one of the wires in the wrong spot. So now becomes the tricky part of figuring out which I have in the wrong place. So I'm going to turn it off and we'll figure out how to proceed. Alright, so I figured out how I want to proceed. So I have my little tester here, which can see where there's power. The breaker is on, which means there's electricity running here. So I was going to put one end up here into the traveler thing, hopefully touching some wire, and then I'm going to touch this ground and we're going to see if there's a light. You see how there's a light on my tester? That means there's power in this traveler. This is the black traveler, alright? Now I'm also going to do the same thing to the live, what we call the load line. And you see where we also get power there? So my theory at this moment is I need to switch these two. I need to switch the load one and the black traveler one, and we'll see if that's what needs to be done. So I was going to switch the black traveler and the load. So let's see if these little stickers will come off or if that ship has sailed. Aha, so far so good. So I'm going to suggest this now is a traveler. Maybe I won't put those on so tight this time. And I'm going to suggest this one is the load. Alright. So now I'm going to unscrew this one. I'll do my tester just to make sure there's no power in here right now. No power. Okay. So we're going to undo here. We're going to undo here. So this is the load, and we're going to wire this to this one this time. Check that for tightness. Okay, we're good. And then we're going to do this one over here. And check that. Okay, so time to turn on the power again. Alright, I've turned the breaker back on. And then on my way up the stairs, I did hit the bottom stairs switch, and it does work. But now we got to see if this works on this end. What's interesting is there's a constant red light here, which I believe before it might have been blinking or something, but hey, that went on, can you tell? And it went off. On and off, that's good. Alright, I have great news, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn off the power, I'm going to tuck all these wires back in there neatly, and then throw it in there. Alright, so I've turned the power off down there, and just for fun, I'm going to check again, because I'm going to be messing with these wires pretty closely, going to be touching them, and so it's not a great time to have any power on. So I'm going to start with the neutral, and the goal really is to try to tuck these back as far as they'll go, because we have a fairly big box to fit in here, so that could be a problem, if you know what I mean. Trying to just be organized is my plan, at least. Because as you're pushing, you're putting a lot of pressure on them, and you can undo your connections, which is why we're going to check it again before we button it all up, because more than once you have to pull it back out to reconnect something that's no longer connected. And then in terms of up and down, this looks like this is the up. Doesn't fit in here really well. It's pretty tight. This could be an issue. We'll see. Alright. It's in there in a way that I'm happy with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go turn on the power one more time and make sure it's still working. Alright. Is that my 7th trip to the basement? I think so. That's kind of the hardest part of the whole trip. Alright. Now, nicely, I came on the way upstairs, I checked the downstairs switch, and it's working. This one, it's red. I don't know if you can see that from there. So we'll just, oh, perfect, it's still working. So we didn't undo everything in the they come with some screws here, but they're Phillips head, and so I need to go down the steps and get the Phillips head bit, because I'd rather use that. So I grabbed a regular Phillips head, and I grabbed a bit that will fit in my drill, and I'm just going to check with these screws that were provided to make sure they fit well. And then nicely, my drill just has a magnetic thing, if I can put that in properly. We're going to just put in that other tip. And these are fairly long, so you save yourself a lot of screwing. So let's see if I can find the hole and at least get it started. If you've got it in the right angle, that makes it quick and easy. And then you notice I didn't go all the way, because using a drill you could crack that plastic in a hurry. So I'm just making sure the light switch is straight up and down, and then I can finish tightening it with just a regular hand screwdriver, which gives me a feel of just how much pressure I'm putting on the plastic. I don't want to put so much on that I'm going to crack it, and I want enough on that it's not loose in the box. So that feels good to me. I'm now going to check it again, and it appears to be working. And so now there's some plastic that I'll just peel off of there. I don't know if you saw that. And then there is some plates, some cover plates that came with it. And one of the things I read was that there is an up and a down. So to put it on properly, and I see it right here, there's little words that say up right there. So we'll put this way. This still looks pretty straight. And then my understanding is it snaps in. I haven't heard much snapping right now. Maybe because of my wall. You know, this is off the wall quite a ways. It's like just because of the box. Oh, that was better. That snapped in. I put the bottom in and then pushed the top. Let me try that again. Kind of want it to stay there. It doesn't feel like it's seated quite right. And like I said, it could be because of my wall and my switch. So I'm going to look and see what is snapping into place. It looks like this is what's snapping into place. Here and here. So hopefully I've done, maybe do I have this upside down? That is possible. You know what we'll do? I am going to check the directions, because if I have the box upside down, obviously this needs to go upside down. So let me just check the direction. Alright, so I have the directions here. Turn on some light. Now let's see if it will show us a picture. Okay, it's got this switch with this round thing at the bottom. So apparently I'm doing alright. By the way, the reason that I had it that way is because the writing on the back of the switch was that direction. So okay, so this little plaster over here might be our problem. So I'm going to get rid of some plaster that might be blocking things. It wouldn't matter since it would cover up that plaster. Alright, so it's, hey, that worked better. And then you'll notice this also has some plastic protectant on it. And looking at it, I'm wondering if I'm a slight bit crooked. But you know what? You could adjust that if you wanted to. I might not. Alright, the next step is for us to figure out how to make this so it's connected to our Wi-Fi. So I'll be back with you. Some traditional wiring thing. And so what you do is, I have an actual extra cell phone that I'm not using, so it's not connected to any of my stuff, but I downloaded the Treatlife app. Can you see that? And I registered, created a email address and so forth, and so that's in there. And so it says that Make sure it's connected to the electricity. Make sure your phone is connected to the Wi-Fi that you want it connected to, and I've done that. So I went to my Wi-Fi and selected the particular connection I want to be on. And it's got to be a 2.4 network, not a 5G network. And then we're going to hit the plus sign because we're going to add a device. And then we're going to click the kind of device that it is. And I'm trying to see the instructions here, but it's a three-way switch, a Wi-Fi wheat three-way switch. So I'm thinking, just trying to figure out how they all, the different switch, they've got a whole bunch of them here. So it looks like a switch. Please turn on the device and confirm the indicator is blinking fast. Alright, so nothing is blinking fast. I'm thinking I'm supposed to do something. So, that didn't work. Alright, let's see what I missed. Okay. Press and hold the manual switch for 5 seconds until the red indicator light blinks quickly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's blinking quickly. Alright. And then confirm indicator rapid blinking. Confirm, yes, so it's confirmed. Okay. And then it's got my, it had my connection and it had the password already loaded because I had already loaded that for that other switch that I had put in. So I had to select the correct Wi-Fi network and put in the password for that. Added successfully. Three-way switch. Done. So I've now got a switch and now I'm going to try to, oh, I just powered it on with my app. Sweet. Alright, so that's working. Alright, now, it has a backup method if that doesn't work. And now the way to connect it to Google is they say click on this pencil here, and third-party control is Alexa in my case. You might have Google or whatever, and it says already linked with Alexa. So, whoops, so good. So we're going back, just making sure this still works. Alright. So then I'm going to go to my Alexa app, so I put the Alexa app on here too. Alright. And then down here is where I can look for all my devices. And so what I'm going to be looking for is to see if there is a new device listed named three-way switch or something. So I'm going to, oh, okay, that's second plug. So that's not what I'm looking for. At least I shouldn't be looking for second plug. So maybe I have to click add. So we'll add a device. And then it wants to know what kind of thing are we selecting. Alright, so I'll read the instructions here. So, under alright, that didn't really tell me anything. Alright, so I'm going to hit other for a second. I clicked other and had it look for devices. There might have been an easier or better way for me to do that. I did it quite easily last time, and quite frankly I don't remember how I did it. So we'll just see if it can find devices that did it come up with anything? I wasn't looking. One switch found and connected. All right. So I don't want to put it in a group right now. I can always do that later. So it says the three-way switch is ready for use. So let's go back here. And now I'll remember I'm in my Alexa app, not my Treatlife app. And here's a switch. And it says it's on. So remember I'm in an Alexa app. And now it's on. So I am controlling it with Alexa. Sweet. Alright. We'll go downstairs and see if I can control it with my voice. And if I can, then we're good. Alright, just to show you that we're in the right spot, I'm going to control it with the app. Do you see the light going off behind us? And now it's on. I'm now going to talk to Alexa and see if she can turn it on. Alexa, turn off the three-way switch. Alexa, volume 4. Alexa, turn on the three-way switch.
Okay.
Very good. One more time. Alexa, turn off the three-way switch. She didn't hear me, I guess. Alexa, turn off the three-way switch.
Okay.
There you go. We have succeeded. See you later.